So I am in the 1940 25-foot Sportsman. You've probably heard me talk about this before. We did 2 other videos on this to help you guys out when you buy a wooden boat. Today what we're going to talk about is hull inspection. So when we inspect a boat, sometimes we'll do it for customers that are purchasing a boat. And you don't necessarily have to pull everything out of the boat to do it. We are in that situation here just because we know we're going to do the bottom. There are some key places that we want to look. Back in the transom in the corners, underneath the engine area, and also up in front too, the bow and the stem area. So if you know what you're looking for and in the areas to look, the only things you need are 2 things: a good poker and a flashlight. So one of the first places that we check are right here in the corners. We find that a lot of water gets settled back in here over time, and that's most likely where we'll find some soft spots. Now, we've already poked around a little bit and we have found no rot so far in this boat, which is really good. So what you want to do is make sure that you poke around right on this chine right here where it meets the transom framing right here on the sides, and just go through and poke. You don't want to poke really hard. You just want to touch and put pressure on the surface. Now, if this poker were to go in very easily, then you have some rot in there. But it should just stay on the surface, and when you poke on it, it should feel very firm and hard. Also, you want to look around your strut bolts too, because that's a potential place where it's been leaking for a long time, and your rudder area. And then just start moving forward. You want to check every frame right around your weep holes in the corners right here, around the weep holes, just to make sure there's no soft spots in there. Because once again, this is where the water has been laying in this boat for many, many years. So we're working our way forward. We're checking all these frames in these corner areas where it meets the keel. This boat had its original engine in here, and you can tell that it's pretty oil soaked, and that's pretty common to find. Not a terrible thing. I mean, the frame isn't ruined because of it. What we'll really have to do is check to make sure how soaked it is when we remove the bottom off the boat. But for now, we just want to scrape and clean. Now this boat's very original. It's got its original wiring in it. It has its original tack cable. Everything in here is 100% original. So you can take pictures and that's evidence for you when you put the boat back together again. One thing that's pretty neat is these pieces of fabric here holding the oil lines on, and also the tack cable. They just used pieces of vinyl and leather that they had from making seats and cushions and stuff. And so they were pretty good about not wasting stuff. And you want to take these off and be careful, save them. You're going to put new ones on, but they show you how they were folded, because they were folded in a certain way to hold the oil line and the tack cable. You'll also find that your oil lines are hung that way with material. And then I see a little bit for your choke cable too. A little piece of it was held to help support the choke cable. So they were very good about not wasting anything. So we're just forward of midship now. Did our inspection on all the frames so far. Haven't found anything yet. If this boat was put together, what you'd want to do is kind of take everything out, lift up the seats, look underneath. Sometimes it's hard to get into the bilge in some spots, but you just got to make an effort to really check everything out, because very, very few boats have I ever inspected where I didn't find a little bit of rot somewhere, which is to be expected. I mean, these are very old boats, and so, and we don't know what kind of life they've led. You know, this one obviously was taken care of very well. We took all the floorboards out of here so we can inspect this pretty good. We've numbered them all, took a lot of pictures like I've said before, and so we're just going to keep working our way forward. So I'm also just kind of paying attention to what was painted, what isn't. I'm looking up inside too. You never know what you'll find. I've found writing from people who built the boats in some areas before. Also, what is painted and what's not. It's pretty interesting that they painted these ceiling boards. That's exactly what we'll do when we restore this too. So you just kind of want to, while inspecting, make a mental note of everything and look for clues. So we're working our way forward. Still, we're in the front seat area. You can see we've taken out all the gauges. This has all of its original wiring in it, and the original friction cloth tape that is put by the wire end connectors. So we're going to go into that at a later time about going through wiring and that kind of stuff. But for right now, we're just going to get up in front of the boat and we're going to keep inspecting all these frames right by the keel and up towards the edges and working our way forward. So I haven't found anything yet, but I am amazed by the condition of this boat inside of here. Also, we'll share in a little B-roll the writing that's underneath on these planks from the factory. I need to make sure that there's no rot up and forward because a lot of the water lays up in here over the years. So I'm gonna really poke around this forefoot here and then up into the stem and making sure that I don't feel any soft wood. Also, what you want to do is look for any like frames that are cracked. And you could put a piece of tape on them and just note them that, hey, we need to change number 3 frame because it's got cracks in it. All right, I mean, the inspection went well, really. I mean, I haven't found any soft wood in this boat at all. It's pretty amazing, the condition of this boat for being a 1940. So it was a rare opportunity for us to film something like this with it all opened up. In a case where you were buying a new boat, you wouldn't have that, obviously. So you're just gonna have to dig around the best you can and inspect and poke around and just get familiar with the boat and what condition it is in. Now, we may find more when we take the bottom planks off of this, but from what we see now, it's in pretty darn good condition, and I don't foresee any problems or really any frames that have to be replaced. If we find one that's super oil soaked or a couple of them, we'll go ahead and replace those just so the glue sticks better. So hopefully that was helpful for you, and you can inspect a boat that you're potentially buying, or if you have one now, you can get a little bit more familiar with the process. We are going to flip this boat over and replace the bottom on it. We'll share that with you, and we'll see you back here. Bye.
Close your eyes.